What's up, guys? It's G here, and welcome back to the Grizzly Life podcast. In this episode, Colton and Chase sit down to go back and forth on a handful of fitness questions, sharing their thoughts, personal experiences, and some advice along the way. New episodes drop every Tuesday and Thursday, so make sure to subscribe, follow, and turn on notifications. Now let's get into episode 31 of the Grizzly Life podcast.
Yo, what is up, guys? It is Colton here with episode 31 of many. I've got Chase here with us, and I've got G in the producer chair. Today, we're going to go over some, I'm actually going to be asking Chase some questions regarding general fitness, kind of getting his input on some stuff. I know we've talked about some of the stuff in the past, but we're just going to kind of freeball this episode, some questions that I've got. I think some questions that are important for everybody to think of and make sure they're implementing in some sort of way. I know we had a fun episode just kind of talking about supplements and nutrients, some one-offs that we think are important for everybody to take. And so I think we'll kind of touch base on some of that stuff today too, but just some general guidelines to overall fitness, overall health, and some things to think about. So we will get her going. What's up, Chase?
Nothing much. It's the summer now, so I'm coaching the kids in the morning. That's high school, that's middle school, so that's always fun. It's just a different client, it's a different coaching experience, it's a different goal, so therefore the workouts look different. I got to really test my knees, it always seems like, and my ankles to make sure I can actually still do everything like an athlete is supposed to. So across like 3 sessions, it adds up a little bit. I got to make sure I can still sprint and like jump and get over hurdles, so it makes for a hell of a time.
How many kids you got? So this is for those of you that don't know, this is like our the local town that we went to school in. We've got like a summer program called BFS, and it's the summer program for weightlifting for the next 2 months essentially until football kind of starts coming back around. So June and July, a little bit of August, I think. But so we do 3 sessions over there. How many kids we got? And this is through the school, obviously, but how many kids you got coming?
Right now, it's been super consistent. There's 50 kids across all 3 hours. Like, I'd like to have those numbers higher, obviously. The summer you're competing with so much, like, say, I think WIA just made it now too, where like coaches' contact outside the season is unlimited. Like, there's not all the hoops you have to jump through, like what workouts you can give them. Like, I was reading through the bulletin the other day. You can give examples of workouts or like the demonstrations sent to them, but not structured. Granted, that's all pretty much lofted or lifted now. You don't have to do any of that, but you're competing with all the other coaches. Obviously, they're trying to get their kids ready, like contact days for basketball, open gyms for every sport. So trying to obviously get them to do your one thing is hard, but no, I really appreciate the kids that do come through and want to get better and do it for themselves and for the team side of things.
Yeah. I personally took part in that. I'm sure, obviously, you two probably did as well. The summer BFS program when we were in school. I think it's a great program, especially for the kids, just to give them some kind of structure, give them some kind of routine. Right away in the morning. I know when I was in school, we used to have a evening session as well, a couple days a week or whatever. But I think it's good. I think it's good for a high school program to do something like that. It's a basic foundation for every kid to hop in. It's a good, solid program for strength building and just overall athleticism. So I'm happy it's still going. It's always hard to get kids involved. Like you said, there's just so many different things going on in the summer you've got part-time jobs, you've got vacations, you've got like, traveling sports and that kind of stuff. Some of your athletes who like to travel will be in AAU or they'll be in traveling baseball or whatever. So just kind of hard to get everybody together for that. But 50 is a solid number to start with. It'd be nice to see more as well. So if any kids are listening and they're not attending, obviously hop in on that with Coach Chase. But how many, I guess I'm just asking out loud, for like high school kids, being the age I am now, do you ever have kids coming up to you asking, the answer might be no, but do you ever have kids coming up asking about like nutrition stuff or like other things, because like when I was a kid, I feel like that was much. You just eat as much as you can and you recover. But yeah, any kids come up asking you like specific one-off?
Nutrition specifically, I don't think the kids do, because it's like, I don't know if it was the case when you were in high school, but it's like you finish out winter sports, like you go to a basketball game, you go to football, and then you all go crash at Culver's, and it doesn't matter. Like, your metabolism's just so crazy. And for that same matter, you're doing AAU, you're doing lift, you're doing sports, like you're burning thousands of calories just in practice. Like, you can almost get away with it. So if they're not really getting fatter, probably the right way to say it, or like if they don't feel it, they don't ask too many questions. It's usually parents more so, because they always say, well, my kid's really picky, or like, should they take supplements? And supplements with kids and high schoolers is such a it's such like a fine line to ride on, just because like people always ask, like creatine's the popular one because parents were always like, when I was in school, like everyone thought it was steroids, and now it's like everyone takes it. I was like, if I'm being a professional, you should probably wait until you're like 18, just like with anything for that matter. But like that being said, if you're thinking about it, that means there's probably kids that are already doing so. Is it dangerous? I don't know if I have a super firm stance one way or another on it, but they'll ask about like supplements and stuff. Like I don't know, but then kids like put like 3 scoops of protein powder in like 1 glass of water. It's like, what the hell are you doing?
Do you think creatine could potentially be bad if you're under 18?
Um,
I think it's more of like an adult standpoint, the reason they put that on the label. I mean, creatine's
yeah, like making your own
naturally,
choice essentially. I would say like if a kid was eating like a soup, like if you just ate steak and potatoes every night
Yeah.
for dinner, you probably have a lot of creatine already in your diet.
yeah.
I think it's like realistically, if you're asking me, I would say I don't think it's dangerous. I just wouldn't like do a loading phase or anything. Like I don't see any reason why they couldn't do so. Um, like realistically, if you put together a bunch of high performing kids, they probably all do take creatine, or they all have really high red meat diets. But it's nothing where I look at it like, oh, you really shouldn't do this. It's more so if you look at like, um, say something that's like less naturally occurring, or like someone sent me a creatine, but it had like other, um, almost like a pre-workout aid to it, like pre-workout and like the energy drink side of things. I was like, if you're high school kids, I don't really know how much of that you realistically need. I think you can get away without doing a lot of that. Like if you're just sleeping, having a good diet as a kid, like you'll get where you want to go.
As a kid, when I was in school, I felt like you always wanted to, me being extremely competitive and wanting to be the best I could be and push my friends. And I feel like you're always looking for the competitive advantage or the edge to everybody else, right? Just like any other sport, you want to be the best you can be. So you take a pre-workout because the misconception is you take pre-workout, it's going to help you, get more energy and you're going to be able to lift more weight and you're going to be able to get stronger faster and build more muscles. Whatever your thought is. Um, Now the older that I've got, I don't think pre-workouts necessary. I mean, I'm anti-caffeine at this point. I don't think I look at caffeine as more of a drug than it is anything. And people say that caffeine's okay for you, right? They say coffee beans are fine and all that stuff. But I just kind of take the opposite approach to that. I don't think that caffeine in coffee is really that good for you. Um, and I've been caffeine free now for like 8 weeks or 10 weeks, or whatever, and I actually feel really good. I don't need that extra boost, but I was also taking caffeine since I was in high school because I thought I needed to take the pre workout to get the better gains or bigger muscles. But creatine, in my opinion, I feel like is like the one miracle drug in quotations. It's the one thing that everybody should take, no matter of age. Obviously, the caveat is water intake. You can't be one of those people that drinks like 2 glasses of water a day and then a bunch of soda and then like also creatine. Like if you're going to take creatine, you're going to want, it helps with retaining water as well, right? And your muscles are what, like 75% water or whatever like
Cellular
that.
water, yeah.
So creatine does serve an extremely important role to recovery, to muscle gain, muscle strength, like all that stuff, and the ATP and all that, right? So I think creatine, I think it says 18 plus in a lot of the containers just because it's like your own decision. I mean, everything of pre-workout or energy drink you buy at a store says 18 plus, and the clerk can still sell you C4 or a Rain energy drink or a Bang from, they don't ask for an ID and verify you're 18, even though it says on the thing you must,
18 plus.
18 plus. So I think a lot of that's more of a protection standpoint. You can't market to kids, you can't market to teenagers, so to say. Obviously 18, 19, but so I think creatine is just one of those that everybody should take. I don't know that you need a loading phase as a kid, but for recovery, for like the most competitive edge, I think creatine is by far like everybody should take it. Your mom should take it, your dad should take it, grandparents should take it. Just have water with it so that way you don't experience like the headaches or the couple little other, I don't even know other side effects you really get, headaches and dehydration basically, right? So um that's my take on creatine. I think everybody should take it.
Like to your point you made too, like the hydration thing being that important too. Like you said with like say pre-workouts and caffeines, like that's what you need for gains. Like realistically, some of the best athletes are just that much more explosive. Is there really anything you're getting out of a pre-workout that makes you more explosive? No, like you mostly just get vasodilators and stimulants. Like it may give you a few more reps, but like does that translate to a game? Like you get your heart rate so high, I don't know if all those stimulants are the thing you need.
Yeah.
Come game time necessarily.
I think if we're going to talk pre-workout, I do think there are some benefits to pre-workout, like the vasodilators. Like opening up your, your veins essentially for blood flow across the entire body. I think that's important for getting a better pump and just mind to muscle connect, like everything, just getting that maximum of blood flow. So I do take like a nitric oxide booster as a single ingredient for pre-workout for me, and that's just to like make sure I've got really good blood flow during my workouts. I also think it's good for like heart health and everything else, just to kind of do that. So I do think there are some okay things in pre-workout, but I think a lot of it is also like, the supplement industry is to make a bunch of money. Like they have extreme margins, and they still use. I mean, I'm very careful on like the additives that I take in and like the flavoring. I mean, how do you think they make the pre-workout taste amazing, right? Like there's probably not great ingredients to make it taste like the best fruit punch you've ever had or the best grape. So there's like those negative things on my standpoint. Not everybody's going to be nearly as extreme as I am. But you got like beta alanine, which I don't really know what's good for besides making me itch. And I love that feeling, like getting to the gym and then 15, 20 minutes in, you're just like, oh my God, like I want to get out of my body type thing. I know some people don't like that itchy feeling, but I think there's definitely some good ingredients to pre. I do think pre does serve a purpose as far as like almost like a motivation thing. And so I think that's the biggest thing behind it. If you don't have self motivation, go to the gym. It's like going to buy a new pair of shoes. It makes you want to work out. Going to buy a new tank top or t-shirt from Nike or wherever you like to buy from. You're like, oh, I can't wait to work out on this Monday, right? Like there's some of those little things, or new running shoes. I can't wait to go for a run. So I think pre-workout serves the same thing. You get a new pre-workout, you're like, oh, I'm gonna hit the gym so much harder this week, because it's more of that mental, not even like a placebo, but kind of like that effect.
That's what I was going to probably say is like placebo. Like I'd be interested if you realistically swapped out someone's, like you have both superhumans, right? Like you have the non-stim and you have obviously high stim, same flavor. If you swap them out, could someone really tell? I mean, as far as like the beta side, like you said, like almost like the itch, if you will, but if someone's like that reliant on it, where they're like, oh, I take it every time just because like it makes me feel better. Part of that I have to imagine is placebo. Like there's always kind of some difference, if you will. I'd be curious to see almost like what that effect is, but to your point, like creatine wise, like that's the biggest thing. Like over the long haul, that's gonna like almost be compounding. Whereas like obviously the pre-workouts gonna really improve your performance for that 2 hours, which obviously or 1 hour, whatever you're working out for, it's the biggest part as far as obviously you have to give effort to have those efforts stack over time. But I think like hydration as well, though, like if you look at the numbers, I don't know on the extreme side so much, but I know they say like as low as when you drop below, like say, 1% dehydration, or however you want to quantify that, like how much your performance already dips, and then like how you get to dangerous ranges if you're like 3 to 5%, and then like obviously 10% is like the lethal side, but like as little as 1% below what you should be, like it already has a huge tank of performance.
I do think the last thing I'll say about pre, like you do. Well, I mean, anybody taking anywhere from 200 to 400 milligrams of caffeine, depending on the dosages of these pre's nowadays, very rarely do you see a pre-workout under 200 milligrams of caffeine. They're out there, but most kids want, the average energy drink you get out the store is 300 milligrams, right? You get a Bang, you get a Reign. Almost all of those are going to be like 300 milligrams, 200 milligrams. So don't get me wrong. If you take 200 to 400 milligrams of caffeine, and assuming you don't like do that 2 times a day, that kick of caffeine and all those other ingredients are definitely going to give you some kind of immediate edge. But, again, I don't know if it's going to get you an extra like 2 reps on the bench press on your max or anything. Like, I just think I'm sure there's some science studies behind it and all of the things going in there, and the vasodilators getting your blood flow going properly, and the L-arginines and all that stuff, or however you say that. I'm sure there's some benefit there in a lot of the stuff. I just think there's a lot of additives, and, I don't know that there's like a crazy, like you said, crazy gains out of a pre. I do think there's the placebo and the mental aspect, and so there's definitely some stuff there. And yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess what's your take on a good old like whey protein too? If we're gonna talk subs, I guess real quick.
I know, because are you more so a big whey guy, or are you like a beef protein type of guy?
I mean, on my diet, I'm not really supposed to have whey because it's like a dairy product. But the more I've learned a little bit about like whey protein, it's like whey isolate, is it right? Like it's actually the book I was reading. I'll give a little background. I started eating fish eggs, salmon roe, a specific kind of salmon eggs, like Ikura or something. I don't know how to say it. I'm not a big fish guy, but I've been eating fish eggs for the heart health aspect, and they're very bioavailable. And for those that don't know what that means, bioavailability is like if 100% of the food, or like, so if I eat an egg and it's got 7 grams of protein, 6 grams of fat, whatever, I don't care what the actual numbers are here. But then let's say it's got like 20 milligrams of iron and 10 milligrams of this and all of these vitamins and nutrients, minerals that you can find in a food. The bioavailability is from like a 0 to a 1 scale, I believe. And the higher that is, the more bioavailable it is. So if salmon eggs, for example, are like a 0.91 on the bioavailability scale, that means I can take in like 90% of the vitamins. I can actually utilize it. And so it's funny because I'm kind of not anti, but I don't eat vegetables and fruit. As soon as you go away from animal foods, which are on average between like a 0.7 and a 0.9, like very bioavailable, like the best veggie is like a 0.5 or something like that.
Yeah.
0.52, 0.55. So you look at like a bag of spinach, for example, and it's got all these irons and all this stuff, but our body can't actually utilize those minerals and vitamins very well, and we need them in like a massive amount to even get what we need. And a lot of those plant fruits and veggies, our body can't actually intake them and take them from the form we're getting them in and transform them into like the type of ingredients that we need basically to utilize them. So anyways, the bioavailability, whey protein, funny enough, in the book that I was reading, whey protein and whey protein isolate in its like simplest form is actually extremely bioavailable, which is cool to see too, because I think it's like a 0.8 or a point. It was actually pretty high. Eggs and actual eggs, and then the salmon roe or fish eggs. Those are two of the most bioavailable options out there. And then you'll also see like a lot of like organs, which I know a lot of people aren't going to go out and eat, like liver, kidneys, and pancreas and all this other weird stuff. I don't expect anybody to do that. I know I'm a carnivore, but there's ways to do that.
You're not Liver King, yeah.
Yeah. And for those, and I'm going on a rant here, but for those of you that know, you're asking maybe why am I eating fish eggs? You can take a fish oil pill. That's fine. Any pills that you can take is fine. It's a supplement. It's to supplement what you're doing, right? Like that's why it's called a supplement. It's supplementing, supplemental income is additional. Supplements are additional to what you're already intaking. So your goal should be to have a really good diet. And then your supplements are just like a emergency fund or like just kind of like on top of. So taking like a fish oil pill compared to the salmon eggs, big difference in bioavailability. The fish oil is fine if I cannot eat caviar, if I can't eat the fish eggs. But if I can eat them and I'm okay with them, and you want to put them into your budget as far as spending on food, you're just going to get way better, like, omegas are good for joint pain and heart health. I'm going to be like doubling or tripling my bioavailability by eating the actual thing than by taking the fish oil pills, right? So that's why I kind of started going that route. This week, I'm not eating the fish eggs. I'm gonna kind of go one. Right now, I ate it last week. This week, I'm taking a week off, so I'm just taking my fish pills again. Next week, I'm gonna do more fish eggs. So mainly to prolong it, because by no means is salmon eggs like extremely cheap. I mean, we're talking. I bought like 2.5 pounds of it, and if I eat 2 ounces a day, that lasts me like a week times 4. So I've got like 4 weeks of product. And, you're paying $150 for something like that. So You got to use it wisely. You can do it like 3 times a week. So I'm going to kind of really play with it and figure out how I can make it last the longest, because I'm not trying to go through, $150 worth of product every 3 weeks, right? So I might just I track my HRV and my heart rate and all that stuff very, very closely, as do us in the room. So I'm actually trying to see how my HRV changes because of the bioavailability of the eggs. So sorry I went on a long rant there, but side note for you, since I'm talking to you, and specifically Chase, the first day I did the fish eggs, the next day my HRV was like a 128 or 125.
Oh, 120.
And my average HRV is only like a 70 or 80.
Okay.
So I saw like an immediate increase, and I'm like, okay, well, we're not going to draw conclusions too early here, but
has it maintained?
Well, last week my HRV was all very good except like one day. And I changed something that one day. I actually took whey protein, and I actually started a new supplement as well. So I am doing my own testing to see kind of what I see. But yeah.
Interesting. You almost have to do like, for how much of the stuff you change, you'd almost have to do like this is what I did for school, but like a multivariate regression to see like, because you can isolate like the effect then, like based on like, you're tracking like, did I take whey this day or did I not? Did I take this? I mean, you could, in your case, you could obviously get hundreds or dozens of variables going into it, but it's interesting nonetheless. I mean, that's just the stuff that gets me.
I am trying to keep like a normal routine and then adding like 1 or 2 things in. So like in this case, I added like turkesterone and ecdy, which is like a plant that is like linked to increasing your testosterone and hormones, right? Like, and then you've got the whey protein, and then also the next morning I woke up with a really bad HRV, and I was like, well, what I do? What I do different? Then I thought back, I'm like, the only two things I changed in my diet were those two. So I cut whey out, and I went to just taking my turkesterone for the last week. My HRV's been good. I also did some research. It says when you hop on some new supplements, what can happen is your HRV can take a dip for 3 days while it's getting like used to whatever you're doing to your body, and then it'll come back up. So my HRV is now, like last night, it was like a 99 or a 95, so it's still high and looking a lot better than it ever has. So I'm gonna do this for a couple weeks. Then, like maybe next week, I'll take a scoop away and I'll see if there's any correlation. Like I know it would only be 2 times, and it could be ironic, right? But I just want to see if I do it again and it's low, then I'm gonna cut it out for another week and make sure my HRV is maintaining high. So it's kind of fun, just kind of doing like a human project like that, just kind of testing up stuff and seeing what happens. But that's what I've been doing with like basically everything. I'm just like, there's people called like biohackers, and that's like optimizing like the human, whatever.
And everything top bottom.
Yeah. So I take a lot of supplements to supplement my already very strict diet and just to see the benefits. And I probably added too many supplements all at once as far as I do like single ingredients for those of you who are listening. So I'll do like a fish oil, and I'll do like nitric oxide booster, which is like an L-arginine or whatever it is. And then I'll take like everything's a single ingredient. My quercetin, or however you say it, is my allergy pill. I take stingy nettle, which is another thing for potential allergies. Boron. I take CoQ10. So I take individual things because I do my own research. Now I'm almost probably I probably started taking them all right away at one time because I did all this research and I was like, I want to take them all. So I can't really like tell, this one makes me feel a special kind of way. But once I run out of the bottles here individual times, I'm going to like wean them off and just see if anything changes. So anyways, my question to you was, what is your thoughts on whey protein?
I think whey is great. Like you said, when you're talking bioavailability, when you look at because protein can get evaluated a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different metrics you can go about it. That being said, it still ranks super high, like protein digestibility scores and things along those lines. Amino acid scores as well. That being said, whey still ranks super high across the board. Then you have like soy that comes after it. And granted, you can have whey isolate, which like you can buy off any store shelf for that matter. There's concentrate, which if you look at scores is probably technically better. You're just going to pay a pretty premium for it. And on top of that, like you're getting only probably marginal differences in the real product. But then it kind of goes down the list, like you said, as you get to like say the plant-based proteins, like if you're taking soy or pea or rice along those lines, like the actual availability and how well you can adjust or digest those amino acids, it's not great. I take whey myself. I've taken isolates, just regular true whey. It's just a different percentage of how many of the calories are actually protein versus carbs. So I always say, like, if you're really that tight on it and you're like super strict on your calories, you can take isolate, obviously, but at the end of the day, like even just a regular whey is perfectly good. Yeah. But I think anyone that, again, is really serious about trying to get into it and they're just trying to find easy ways to get their protein in without going over calorie wise, I think it's a really good way to go about it.
Yeah, I would like to add, my input is that that protein intake is very important for every individual for daily living, as far as like recovery and muscle, and just like protein is a very essential thing that we all need, right? So I encourage that everybody can get the highest amount of protein intake as possible. I'm taking in anywhere from 180 to 240 grams of protein a day, which I only weigh 168 pounds, 172 pounds. So I'm getting over my 1 gram of 1 gram per pound of body weight, which is kind of my goal. My goal is like 1.2. And so anyways, whey protein, I think, is a very easy way to add 20, 30, 40 grams of protein a day, depending on how you're scooping. So if you do struggle with protein intake, I think a good clean whey protein is a good option. I think you want to be careful if you don't deal well with dairy, that don't force it, because it is a dairy product. I'm not saying just lactose intolerant. I'm saying if you have acne, if you do anything with dairy products, it is a dairy product. So if you get more, grease on your face because of this, because it's dairy products are linked to a lot of bad things as well. So you just want to be careful. Like if you are noticing more acne or more greasy skin or what, some of these things might be linked to a dairy type product. So, that being said, careful how much milk you drink if that's something happening to you and that kind of stuff. So, definitely implement some kind of protein product if you're not eating enough meat during the day, and think about the bioavailability as well. It's very interesting. Do your own research. We're not saying you shouldn't be vegan or vegetarian if you are. I would never do that, but that's totally up to you. So do your own research, but look into bioavailability. A lot of people think you can get all the nutrients and vitamins and minerals you need from, again, fruits and veggies. And in all reality, you need to take an exorbitant amount of those in to get those kind of nutrients. And I don't know, look up bioavailability in foods and type in the foods that you like to eat and see how many vitamins and minerals you're really getting. I'm reading a lot of books right now. I'm reading a couple books right now talking about like the food industry as a whole. It's very interesting how a lot of these companies can get around their marketing ploys. Fruit juice, right? Real fruit juice. What they do is they'll like take an apple and they'll basically squeeze it down to just the juice, which isn't lying. It is real fruit juice, but they're just taking the sugar out of that apple. And so it's no different than like a normal sugar at that point because you're not getting any of the vitamins, minerals, nutrients that come with the apple. So the marketing ploy is fruit juice. It seems healthier. You read the label, you're like, oh my God, this is great. I can eat this. It's got real fruit in it. They're legally allowed to say that because it technically really does, but like it's just a marketing ploy. It's just fooling us. I actually saw a video, and I'd have to look this up to verify this is true. I just told my brother this one yesterday. McDonald's, they say 100% all beef patty. Do you know how? Do you know? But they say 100% all beef patty, although 30% of it is soy. Do you know how they can say this?
It's just the standards that are set for it, as far as like how you can make those claims, isn't it?
They own the company called All Beef.
Interesting.
So it's 100% all beef. They're not lying. That's what this video said. Obviously, you guys can fact check me. You can look that up and verify that. I'm sure somebody will be offended by listening to this because somebody probably loves McDonald's. But it doesn't matter if that one is necessarily true or not. That's how a lot of these companies can get around the marketing ploy, though, because they're not lying. If you do own a company called All Beef and it's 100% all beef, you're getting your product from that company. Your marketing ploy is it's 100% all beef. Now we're looking at it like, oh my God, it's all beef. You know what I mean? Like it's just
because that's no different too. With like say, people are big on like things that say low fat, or like 0 fat, but it's also you check it and it's like 40 grams of sugar, so it's just a crap load of carbs. So you like my mom basically fell into it once. Like we were trying to do she was trying to do some big health kick, and found these things. I was like, they're still just as bad as anything we would have had before. It's just in a new wrapper, essentially.
Yep. I'm reading this book called Salt, Sugar, Fat by, I think, Michael Moss. It's a tough read as far as, it just takes a while to read page by page, but it's very interesting to look at all of the General Foods and Kraft and these massive brands and how they market things and how they attack the moms that are busy and they need to make sure their kids are fed before school, and that's why they came out with the Pop-Tart and all of these other items, and how to market it and how to deploy it. So it's just, again, you got to be careful when you're shopping. They do a lot of these things on purpose. I hate seeing us as humans just kind of eat our lives away. A lot of people don't realize what they're putting into their system. Again, I'm not saying you have to be extremely strict and go carnivore and only eat real foods, but just be careful like how often you're eating crap foods. Your diet shouldn't consist of things coming out of a bag. From the chips and candy aisles, right? Like you need to have some good quality ingredients in your diet or good quality foods. Up your meat intake, chicken, fish, red meat, whatever you want to eat. Up that, if you can eat eggs, great. They're a very bioavailable food. And again, just kind of if you're going to continue eating shitty foods, just use them as a supplement. Use them when you just be careful about it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Don't make it your entire diet. Just make it part of it. If you like some pretzels on the side, great. Anyways, I think we don't have a lot of time left. I know Chase has got to get going. We didn't even really get into some of the topics that I want to talk about. But what we'll do is, if Chase and I have time later today is Wednesday, June 11th. If Chase and I have more time after noon today, we'll get another episode recorded right away on some other items that I want to talk about. I know I want to talk a little bit more about like water intake for the average person, maybe like a protein intake so people know like what their protein goal should be. off of like body weight, that would be good as well. And we'll just kind of touch base on some of that stuff, maybe some different like types of sugars, so people understand what they're eating and what the difference between like a fruit sugar is versus like a added sugar and stuff like that. So those would be some interesting topics. I think everybody can benefit from that stuff. But we'll kind of wrap it up here. We appreciate you guys tuning in to episode 31. We're going to continue doing this. I don't have an update on the studio space for you guys yet, but they should be getting us some numbers soon to get the floor done here. My Snapchat is colton.burt, COLTON, period, BURT. Instagram, Facebook, coltonburt19. And our email is marketing@fitnessgrizzly.com. Check out the website, thegrizzlylife.com. We're still doing some updates to that. And I'm going to kick it over to Chase for his socials, and I will see you guys in the next one.
If you're looking for me on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, anything across the board, it's just myself, CHASEMASTRICOLA. Go out, kill it here, finish out the week strong, and have yourself a good weekend, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday.